No, this is the pound puppy. For those of you that don't know, and I hope most of you do know, because this was 1984 when it came out in Canada, and 85 in the U.S., and the rest is kind of history since then. You know, I really struggled with my talk for today for quite a while. But all the time, I love to talk, and I love to tell the story. But they said you got 7 to 10 minutes, and you got to get, the message of hope out. So about 3 days ago, God tapped me on the shoulder, and He said, "Here's your message." And so I look forward to sharing it with you. But in order to share it with you, I have to tell you a little bit about me and my background and the story of pound puppies. Several people said, "I want to hear this story." So at any rate, I was born in Hazard, Kentucky, in the mountains, in a house, not in a hospital. My family moved to Ohio looking for work. My dad ended up in a factory, and my mother was a Bell telephone operator. So I loved my life, don't misunderstand, and I never realized that, we didn't have a lot like other people had during the time. But I went through high school, graduated from high school, and nobody in our family, by the way, had ever graduated from college, including me. And so graduated from high school, and my dad worked at Ford, and he got me a job, so I went to work in the factory, just like my dad was in there, and that's the way that you do those things. But as Lewis said, for years and years, all I did was dream about how to get out of the factory. Nobody really likes working in a factory, whether you believe that or not. You do that for your benefits and for your pay scale, but nobody really loves it. And so I had all these ideas for all these years, how am I going to get out of the factory? And the idea of pound puppies came to me. And I said, this is it. I've got to do this. This is it. And I just wouldn't let loose the idea. The idea came when I had bought my daughter a doll for Christmas, and she took it everywhere with her. She was so enamored with it. She pretended she was feeding it. She just like it was her baby. And I was thinking, wow, as far as she's concerned, it's her baby. And I thought, look, there's 2 things people love on this earth. It's their kids and their pets. And a lot of people treat their pets as if they're their kids. So I thought, well, not everybody likes a dog, but who doesn't like a puppy? So I said, I've got to make them puppies. And when we were growing up, where did you go to get a pet? Went to the pound. It wasn't any of these mixed breed mutts that you paid $5,000 for. You went to the pound to pick out your pet, and I thought, oh, pound puppies. That sounds cool. That's what I'll do, and I'll put them in a box like they're from the pound. Now, I worked on the assembly line for many years, right? So, not knowing the genius of the idea, I thought, well, how am I going to produce all these varieties so the kids can pick their own one out? We got one body style, okay? That's it. We took all the different colors, some with spots, some without, and you just mix them at random. You weren't creating one with spots in any particular way. We had different sculptings for their face, and bingo, came out that we were getting all these different styles. But back to the school, when I got the idea and I was developing it, and when I finally had to make the decision to leave Ford, it was not licensed. And I did not have guaranteed income. And I quit my job after 18 years. I went out without a salary coming in. And I knew, the only other thing that was kind of a problem for me was I knew no one in the toy industry, and I knew nothing about the toy industry. But I was determined it was going to succeed one way or the other. Then, through God and networking, I was introduced to a man by the name of Bob Steiner. Bob Steiner's family, he was a consultant in the toy industry. Bob Steiner's family started Kenner Toy Company, and when they sold it, he had retired, and he was a consultant in the toy industry. So I went and met with him, and he says, great, I love your idea. It's $100 an hour plus expenses. And I just quit my job, and I was making $10 an hour when I quit my job. And I said, listen, great, we'll do this, but I'll pay you someday, but I can't pay you now. Well, he believed in it, and hit the road trying to find a home for it. Got a lot of rejections, and I love to share this one rejection. It's the classic one. Everybody else, they just say, oh, it's not right for us. It's, we don't need that in the company. They sugarcoat all the reasons they're telling you no. But one guy came in, he was the president of Ideal Toy, who Bob Steiner, by the way, knew and had given the guy his first job in the toy industry. So Bob said, this is going to be a good one. So went to New York City, got up into the first time I was there, up in a conference room flash, looking out over the city. I said, I've arrived. He got up there and he came in, sat down. I made my presentation. He looked at me and said, that's the ugliest thing I've seen in my life. It looks like it's squatting to pee. He says, I've got a meeting to go to, so he walked out. So anyways, we went on and finally found, first in Canada, Irwin Toy took it, and then in the United States, Tonka took it. We shot up to #1 in the world, sold in 52 countries around the world, had a cartoon show by Hanna-Barbera, and a movie by Kuroko. And you're looking at the American dream. And I pinch myself every morning. And I thank God every day for the blessings that I've gotten out of doing this. But the point I wanted to make in telling you all of that is I wanted to cover something that's even more dear to my heart. And, I told you when I hired him Ford, I got married at 19. Within 3 years, we had 2 daughters, and I'm working in the factory, and my second daughter was born with cerebral palsy. So I'm 21 years old, I'm working in a factory, and I have a daughter with cerebral palsy, and we had medical benefits, but not back then in the 70s. It wasn't great medical benefits. And my wife and I, what are we going to do? Well, first doctor that really checked her out said, she'll never walk and she'll never talk. And that's a hard thing to hear. But you know what happened? There was a place somebody said, you need to go check out in Middletown, which is where we live, called Doty House. And Doty House was started by a man by the name of Doty, who had a daughter with cerebral palsy. And he had experienced, I guess, what I was experiencing. And he was a very successful man. So he got the drive and he opened up Doty House. And Doty House succeeded because of people just like you and the donations. They took my daughter in as an infant and started speech therapy, physical therapy. They had the whole facility. With me came nothing. And they were just a godsend, is all I can say to you. And from that, the proudest moment in my life happened the day that she walked across the stage and got her diploma from Wright State University. And that's the message I want to share with you today. That's what you're doing. And you know the other thing? I never met Doty. I never met any of the people that put up the money. None of them. And it's just like you. What you'll never get to meet the people that get the food, the kids that go to bed with food in their belly. And that's what it's all about. It's about all of us coming together and helping those that don't have the money or the resources or things to do it. And from the looks of this room, there are a lot of people that are helping the people in Nassau County with food and everything. For those of you, Barnabas stands for Sons of Encouragement. And that's what we have to do. We have to give hope and encouragement to these people that are out there and throw them a lifeline so that someday they can walk across that stage and achieve their dream too. Thank you.